Hello guys, welcome back. So far we discussed how to create tables, add constraints into an existing table in Postgres. Now in this lecture we will discuss another important thing, and that is how we can add or remove new columns or multiple columns in Postgres. Okay, and this is very important to know sometimes that how to add new or remove existing columns from a table, because a lot of time it is very difficult to know in advance that what attributes you need exactly for your database tables. And you can say that if you added few attributes today while designing the table, and that will be required forever. Okay, for example, let's say if you have added some attributes today, then you do not need then you do not have some idea, might not have some idea that if you need these attributes forever till the table exists, you might want to remove that attribute from the table in future. Okay, and you realize this fact over the time, and in such cases you might need to add new attributes when required or remove existing attributes if needed. Okay, and in this lecture we will look at both. I mean, we will learn how we can add or remove columns from a relation or table. Here on my screen you can see the syntax of adding new column or multiple columns. Okay, so here you can see that single column, that we just need to use the alter table command just like we use for adding constraint. So alter table and then table name, and then you need to mention add column. Okay, and then column name and the data type you want to associate for this column. For example, if you want to add new column as string type, then you need to mention here where or text. Okay, and the same query is used for multiple for adding multiple new columns, but here you need to mention add new column, column name, and data types n times, and suppose n is the number of column that you want to add. Okay, and similarly you can see the syntax of removing existing column or multiple columns as well. Okay, here you need to notice one thing, that when you want to remove existing column, you do not need to mention column types, only the column name will work. Okay, so here you can see that alter table, table name, and then you need to use drop column command. Okay, and if you want to remove multiple columns, then you need to use alter table, table name, drop column, column name, and then drop column, column name. Okay, now let's try both the queries to add and remove columns in our case. Okay, so open the terminal and switch to the PS console. So first go to the terminal and open the PSQL console. Okay, and I hope you know that we used employee tables in many examples in our course. So we will use the employee table in from our database, and we will add or remove columns from there. Okay, so first let's see the details of employee table just to verify that how many attributes we have in employee table so far. So let's see the details. So slash the employees. Okay, and here you can see that we have ID, employee code, name, email, city, and salary attributes already in the employee table. Okay, but do you think that these are the enough attributes to store the employees information? We might need some other attributes as well, like let's say we need from which state the employee belongs, from which country, what is the pin code of the employee, what is the address line 1 and address line 2. Okay, so we will add such attributes here in this lecture. Okay, so first we will add, let's say, state into the employees table. Okay, so what we need to use here, alter table for adding the single column here. Okay, so alter table and then your table name, that is employees. Okay, and then you need to use add column and your column name here. So let's say state we will add, so state, and here you need to define where care, let's say 100. Okay, and just add the semicolon here, and when you run this command you will see that alter table in the response. That means the state attribute has been added to our employees table, and you can verify using the slash the employees. So here you can see that the state has been added into the employees table. Okay, and we just see the example of adding a single attribute into the uh, table. Okay, now what we will do, that we will try to add multiple columns in a single query. Okay, so we can simply use here like alter table and then employees, then add column, and then your column name, let's say country, and then its type, let's say worker 100, and then we can add, let's say, pin code. So add column, you need to separate it by comma, okay, after every data type if you are adding multiple columns. So add column, and then let's say pin code. Here we can use varchar, let's say 8, and then address line 1 and address line 2. So add column by separating the comma, I mean separated by a comma. So add column, and then your column name, let's say address line 1, varchar 255, and another column, let's say add column, address line 2, that is varchar 255. Okay, and now add the semicolon after the query and run this command. So here you can see alter table in response, and if you see the details of the employee table, again you will see that the new is country, pin code, address line 1 and address line 2 has been added into the employees table. So here what we see, that we saw that two different ways to adding a column, like we can add single column into a table as well, and we can insert or we can add multiple columns into a table as well using the single query, and the query is known as alter table. Okay, and now since we added these attributes, now let's see how the drop column will work. Okay, or if you want to remove some attribute from a table, if you realize that this attribute is no longer needed, then how we can drop that column or attribute from the table. So we will look at this now. Okay, so we again need to use alter table command. Okay, and here your table name, let's say employees, and then drop column. Here we can remove address line 2, for example. Okay, so let's remove address line 2, address line 2, and add the semicolon here. Okay, and initially I told you that we do not need to use data type while removing the column, so we can just provide the column name here after the drop column statement, and when you run this query you will see alter table command, alter table in response. Okay, and if you again see the details of the employees table, you can see that now the address line 2 address line 2 attribute is no longer exist in the employees table. Okay, now let's see how we can remove multiple columns from a single query. So we just need to use alter table employees drop column and column names here. So let's remove address line 1 and sorry, and separate it by comma, drop column, and let's say we want to remove pin code. Okay, so we can remove these both attributes. Okay, and when you run this query you will see again alter table in the response, and if you see the details of the employees table, you will see that both pin code and address line 1 has been removed from the employees table. Okay, and this is how we can remove one or multiple columns from the relation into our database. Okay, and that's it for this lecture. Okay, so here what we learn, that we learn how we can add single or multiple attributes into an existing table using alter table command, and we also saw how we can remove existing columns from table. Okay, so try this lecture at your end, and we will meet into another lecture. Till then, tata, goodbye, take care, and stay safe.